Welcome to Locals Only Cantina.
Mixing it up with
Brandon
and Cherie.
What's up? What's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Back. Locals Only. Here we go.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We kind of got out of our groove for a little bit. Just a little bit.
We lost our groove.
Yeah. You know how that works, right?
Didn't lose our mojo. We just lost our groove. Don't confuse the two.
Yeah, we went on vacation with our kids and then it took a second for us to get back to ourselves.
Yes, it's the most friggin' exhausting vacation of all time. That's why.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're a
that's not exactly
parent
why.
and you've ever been on vacation with your kids, you know that you need a vacation from your vacation. So, yeah. It's
True
been
story.
A while. But we just took our kids to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Super exhausting, but
Disneyland?
fun. Yeah.
And?
And Disney, or wait, what's it called? That's it, Brandon. That's all it
No,
was.
it's not all it was. It was not even close.
I had a lot of
We went on a 10-day friggin' exhausting road trip. We did Disneyland, California Adventure, went to San Diego, SeaWorld, Vegas, a couple days there. Yeah, there was zero rest.
Yeah, one of our kids, our oldest kid, is actually graduating this year, so wanted to do something a little special for him and made a huge road trip happen, which was exhausting, but he is lying if he says that he didn't have any fun. It was a tad bit fun.
It was fun. It was so much fun it hurt. So, in spirit of that, I don't really know how I'm going to lead into this, but in spirit of that, we're gonna drink to this. And so as we have our shot, you're gonna like, you're gonna subscribe, you're gonna do all those things.
That's right.
Hit the notification bell so that like 4 weeks down the road when we come back and we're like, it's been a long time because we did this shit.
Hey,
You'll see when
we're gonna
the
get
next
our
one
mojo
comes.
back, babe. Well, we
didn't lose our
mojo. I lied.
Yeah.
We lost our
groove.
Our groove.
Yeah, we already cheered.
cheersed.
Yeah. Cheers.
See, we're
again.
all messed up.
All right.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that was a little short synopsis of what we've been up to. Now, Cherie came up with this subject for tonight, so I'm just gonna let her lead this one off.
Wait, I wanted to say, like, I got to ride a new bike today,
True story.
and I kind of like it. It was a good ride.
Yeah.
Just say, yeah, I kind of liked it.
Yeah. So I had. Let's see. Cherie had another bike, motorcycle, not bicycle, that I had bought, and then it was a half-done project that I bought and I finished over the winter a couple years ago. She'd been riding that. We sold that one, and then she was going to ride my old bike because I got another bike. But then when I got that bike, I found another bike that I felt like I had to have.
He's never ever going to stop finding bikes.
So
for all you ladies
Then I
out
was
there
gonna-
who have husbands that like to ride motorcycles and they keep adding bikes, they probably won't start selling their bikes.
yeah. So I was gonna let her choose my old bike or the second new bike I got, or the first new bike I got. Anyways, so she decided she wanted, and I think it makes more sense for her to ride it. The first new bike I got, not the last one I got. But I also don't have the heart to sell my old bike because there's serious sentimental value there. So
Oh, it's a pretty sexy bike.
we're just gonna keep all three of them. Yeah.
Nice choice. Way to settle on 3
Yeah.
instead of 2.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep all 3 of them. So she got to ride a. Tonight I kind of like had to change a couple things to make it fit her better, set it up, and she went for a little cruise. So hopefully this weekend we can find some time to break away. We got a busy ass weekend coming up though.
Always. That's why we've kind of been out of our group a little bit too. We've been super busy, but
yeah, we got a bunch of stuff we got to do, but it'll be fun. We got I got some club stuff with my motorcycle club going on. We got our friend's 40th birthday. That's gonna be awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be epic.
It is awesome, and since we're not gonna air this before the birthday, I guess we can talk about it.
Yeah. There might be a before and after talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, there might be an after
maybe
one.
some pictures to
If
show.
we
Maybe
remember it, we'll see.
you.
Yeah. So the theme of it is he's a big Britney Spears fan. At least was back in the day. I mean, let's be real. Every boy, whether they want to admit it from that time, was a Britney Spears fan. We may not have liked her music, but let's be real. She was super easy on the eyeballs.
And even for girls, honestly, most girls won't admit it because she's kind of a shit show these days.
She's one of those ones that nobody wants to admit they like, but they sell out stadiums, right? Kind of like Nickelback,
wants
right?
To see it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like Nickelback.
Yeah.
No one will admit that they like that band, but they sell out stadium after stadium still till this day. So,
But you know what? She was a badass performer, even though maybe she lip synced a few times.
I remember.
Maybe all the time.
I remember
don't know,
when I came
but-
home from the Philippines because we talked about this before. I served a Mormon mission there, and in the Philippines, we didn't watch TV or anything like that. We weren't up on all the news. We weren't up on all the new cool stuff. And I came home and I turned on TV for the first time in 2 years. And Hit Me Baby One More Time was on, and I'm like, who the hell is
After
that
your
girl?
mission?
Yeah. Oh my God, she was so hot.
Hilarious.
It blew me away. I'm like,
That
who
was a little
is
before
that?
your mission.
No, it was while
it?
while I was out.
Well, yeah. Well,
I had never
out,
seen
yeah.
her before.
That's
So
funny.
I do remember the first time I laid eyes on Britney, and she did look good.
Oh yeah, didn't she like insure her ass or something? Like she
Was
got.
that Britney?
I think it was.
I don't remember that. I know someone
I remember
did.
it was like a big deal because people didn't really do that back in the day. But what
I feel
happens in that
like
situation?
it was somebody with a real a famous ass like J-Lo or something
I think
like that.
she ended up doing it too.
We
but
probably shouldn't be saying this if we don't know who it is.
who cares? We only have 6 people.
If
that
you-
listen to us.
If you insure your ass and then you get fat and it's your fault, does that count?
I just don't even know how that works. What happens if you what do you get from insuring your ass?
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what it
I
means.
have no
I
idea.
remember back in the day it was a big deal. Everyone was like, she insured her ass.
I remember I heard that too, but let's be real. We heard lots of things that may or may not have been
True.
factual.
Oh, I will say J-Lo still got a nice
J-Lo's
going on.
got everything going on still. So
Yeah.
we just
She's
watched.
older than me.
Yeah, we just watched a movie by a long ways, by a decade
Yeah.
or more.
And she still got it.
Yeah,
Hot.
I hit it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Is she on your list?
sure. She's on every man's list. We're getting way off topic. Oh, so because it's the Britney Spears theme, everybody's supposed to dress up as their favorite, Britney Spears, from a certain video or a certain time frame. So I happen to still follow Britney on Instagram, and Britney is not the same as she used to be, and she's kind of gone a little bit cuckoo. So I follow her Instagram out of pure morbid curiosity.
Can you do some of her little dances for us right now?
Oh my gosh, no, I'm not going to. I might need more to drink before I do that.
But I will see it this weekend.
Yeah, you're going to, I'm sure of it. So Cherie is going to dress as the younger, cuter Britney, and I'm going to dress as the 40-something-year-old Britney.
But our friends are pretty badass, and they all dress up, and it's a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun.
You know what's funny is I saw this meme one time, and it said something like, why do white people always have to dress up for their parties? And it was this black guy, right?
Uh-huh.
And I just have to say, you know what? How fun is it to be a different person for a day? You're gonna get to be crazy Britney for a day. Are you gonna feel good about that? It's gonna be fun.
I don't know if I'll feel great about it, but our friend Jeff will enjoy it. So
I think it's gonna be awesome.
that's all that counts.
The guys are gonna look way better than the girls.
Jeff showed up one time. We had a Christmas party, and we were supposed to dress as our favorite Christmas movie.
No, actually, this was for your birthday.
It was
your
yeah,
birthday.
it was. You're right. And my favorite Christmas movie is Christmas Vacation. So he shows up as Cousin Eddie with the leopard print bikini bottom on with his Speedo, not bikini, Speedo on with his wife beater tucked into his Speedo, wearing his flippers.
Yep.
And the whole thing, and it was rad. It was awesome.
So Brandon has to show up for him
I'm
this
gonna
time.
show up.
So, and it's his 40th.
And
so
I'm gonna break it down just like Brittany does on Instagram. Day after day. Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be great. So speaking
Sometimes we
of,
like to get a little crazy. Maybe that's not so crazy, but it's a little weird.
some of you are like, that's not crazy, that's just weird. Anyways.
I like it. You know, his crazy matches
So
my crazy.
I am gonna dress in drag, I guess, this weekend, so that's interesting.
Yeah. It's gonna be super sexy with your beard.
Yeah. But anyways, I was gonna go someplace else, but I'm not going to. So
You're just gonna go somewhere and leave me?
no, I was gonna go off on a tangent of 2023 nonsense, but I'm gonna choose not to this time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that can be a subject for another day.
Okay.
Anyways,
Should we get into our
so
topic?
yeah,
and
we're
what I
talking.
chose?
So far, we've covered motorcycles and cross dressing and
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Yeah. Okay.
Those
So
are some important topics.
okay. So what's up? What do we want to discuss, Sheree?
So I thought it would be fun.
Oh wait, pause. We didn't show off the new nefarious swag. Check this one out.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this one's cool. So
I like it.
these are ones that, so we made up like 4 different shirts. You guys saw one before, but I don't think this is the one I wore that day. No, I wore the motorcycle one. Well, they're all motorcycle ones. The one with the bike and you on it.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Anyways, so we're redesigning, we're fixing the logo right now. So these are sort of like testing prototypes, yeah. So I'm just kind of like wearing them around, and actually I'm getting a bunch of people saying, "Hey, those shirts are dope. Well, what are they?" You know, I'm like, "Oh, it's my new brand." So hopefully one day soon they will hit the market and be available to purchase. So
yeah, hopefully really soon. We're getting pretty close to getting some actual finished products, so I'm pretty excited about that.
yeah.
And we're gonna be able to show some of the fun that we get to have on our bikes, and just, you know, some of the artwork. Actually, I love art, Brandon loves art, and it's kind of a passion that we have together, so it's kind of what we decided to do, is have some fun with it. So
Hells yes.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Okay, now we can move on.
Okay.
We plugged our new t-shirt business.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up? So what's the topic?
So I thought it'd be fun to talk about the fact that how girls are more attracted to bad boys and why that happens, and or the kind of the stigma of bad boy, right? Because I think people think bad boy is being a certain type of person, but I don't think it's exactly always what you think when you see a certain guy and they look a certain way. But why does that happen? What are your thoughts on this, Brandon?
You're the girl here. You're the expert.
I want to know your thoughts, and then I'll tell you my thoughts.
Okay. Well, this is something I learned long ago.
How old were you?
When I learned this? Mm-hmm. Oh man, high school time. So
Okay.
there were a couple girls that I was like really into, and we were really good friends. In fact, I would say we were like best friends. One especially hung out every single day. I was super into her. And she always would tell me she loved me, but like a brother, right? You know, blah, 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 right? And then she would date these assholes. And then she would say dumb shit like, and every dude out there has heard this. All you guys out there, besides the guys that were like bad boys right from the start, you figured out the game before we did. But most of you guys have heard this. Oh, I just wish I could find a nice guy like you. And you're like, well, I'm fucking right here, bitch. Right? So had I said that, she might have actually liked me more, right?
She probably would have.
But I was like, oh, well, someday you will, and I was being like nice and blah, 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 right? In the inside, I was thinking that though, right? So, and I would hear things like, oh, you're so sweet, you're such a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And my mom would be like, someday you're going to find some girl that loves you for you. And I'm like, right, Anyways, I went through that bullshit for a long time. And this girl that I was like head over heels in love with broke my heart. And she actually like hooked up with one of my best friends. But yeah, I learned at a young age that it did not pay to be a nice guy.
When did that actually hit you? Was it during that whole thing, or was it after?
Towards the end of it. Now, at first, when I first met her, I was not in shape. I was a little bit chubby. Now I stutter. I stuttered way worse back then. I was super shy, this and that. So there were lots of things that came into play. But you can ask any dude out there. You don't have to stutter or be super shy to experience the girls liking bad boys instead of you game, right? But at some point in time, I got in really good shape. I lost all my weight, and I started getting a little bit buff and wearing tight shirts so I could show off and look good and all this stuff. But then it actually like sort of hit me. I moved out of state, so I left California. I moved to Utah, and nobody here knew me. And I just simply reinvented myself. Mm-hmm. That was it. And I learned really quick that presenting myself differently right off the bat did the trick. So, I mean, maybe you could say like that was like faking it until you make it, and sometimes that's a thing, but I just simply presented myself differently than I did when I was at high school, and all of a sudden, girls liked me. They had no preconceived notions of me. I mean, I was in shape by then. I looked good. I was, seemingly more confident. I still stuttered, so I still actually was shy, and it still was really terrifying to make phone calls and talk to people and ask girls out. But I just did it. I just decided I was going to be different, But yeah, real quick, I learned that girls just responded to me different because I was acting different, and I was acting pretty much like every asshole that every other girl that I'd been into wanted to date instead of me. Now, you might say, especially in this day and age, where like, oh, that's toxic masculinity. Well, if that is toxic masculinity, women, I would say it's your own goddamn fault that we feel that we have to act like this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Keep going before I get my own piece.
It is your own goddamn fault. Because most of us just want to like be cool and have fun and be nice and this and that, but that does not work because you guys want us to be Mr. Bad Boy, right? So those of us that figure it out, right? Now that's not to say that I'm still a nice guy at heart, right? But I learned to play the game, right? And the game is something that has to be played because guys, whether you like to play the game or not, women are playing the game, whether they consciously or subconsciously are, the game is still being played, right? Is this making sense?
On both sides,
yeah.
Both play the game.
Right, but the guys that play the game naturally are those guys that figured it out when they were young. The other guys that play the game only play the game because they have to. Because if we don't play the game, here's the deal. Life's a game. Whether you like it or not, the game is being played. And if you do not play the game, if you choose not to participate in the game, guess what you're called? A loser. You lose the game, right? So those guys that figure it out, they learn to play the game.
What if I want just a participation trophy, Brandon?
No such thing as participation trophies. And participation trophies, what those are the guys that are older The girl finally had all her fun. Now she's like, okay, I want to settle down with a nice guy that's going to take care of me. He has a good job, this and that. And so then she marries somebody that she's not genuinely attracted to. There's your participation trophy, where she had all this fun and had the sex with these guys before, and all of a sudden this dude's like, why won't my wife sleep with me, right? Well, because she's bored, because you're a participation trophy. We're going further than just the dating game here, right? But that's a thing, right? So there's a silly game. Girls force us to do it, but we have to play the bad boy role or you lose the game. That's just the facts of it. What say ye about that?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you learned the whole bad boy perspective, what things did you change? Like, how did you become the bad boy? Like, what did you do? I'm just intrigued because you said that you became the bad boy. So I want to know, because he says he's a bad boy, but I see him as I know him a little bit on a deeper level. So
Yeah?
I'm trying
Is that true?
to understand.
Is that true? Okay, I'm going to flip the script, okay? I'm going to flip the script. So
No, I know what you're saying.
First
I just want to hear it from your
First of all,
voice.
I'll say this. So, like with Jamie, I was always there for her, bend over backwards, do whatever I could for her, right? Let's flip the script. What's the famous story you always love to tell people about when we first met?
How I lied?
No.
Or what?
No.
I don't know.
Was I head over heels in love with you?
Oh no. I like to tell this story because I am a woman who knows what I want, and I went for what I want, and I got what I want.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Did I come on super strong?
No, because you're playing the game.
Was I even did you even think I liked you?
No, probably not.
Did I break up with you a couple times?
Yeah.
And did that make you want me more? You may not want to
Probably, yeah.
admit it, but it did, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Case in point. Now, I didn't.
So you did that on purpose?
No, I did not necessarily do that on purpose. I was engaged with someone else before. I was sort of heartbroken. But still, that's my point, though. Had I met you and like, oh, this chick's rad, and just like freaking like dove in head first, you would have been like, whoa, back up, homeboy, right? Like, you didn't want me to be like that. Girls don't naturally, like, any guy that just goes in full bore, like, he's called a creeper. Girls are turned off super fast.
Yeah.
But you thought that, oh, well, he's got this other girl, he's engaged. Like the whole game was what came into play.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
here's the thing. The game has to be played for forever. It does.
Yeah, you
It
can't ever stop
honestly does.
playing the
Like,
game.
we've talked about this before, even in your marriage. I mean, we've been married almost 20 years, and we still kind of have to play that game. And because guess what? The game is fun. When you are...
Not always fun.
Well, in marriage, it can be fun.
Yeah. It
If
can
you're
also
single, it's not.
can also not be fun too
Well,
sometimes.
to a level, I guess.
Yeah.
Depends on how hardcore you're playing the game. If you're out dating other girls to make me jealous, to make me come to you, then that's probably not a good game I want to play.
Is that an option?
No,
Oh,
no. But, so I'm going to break it down for you.
Okay.
I love everything you're saying.
Okay.
It has a lot to do with what it's about. But I'm going to break it down and tell you why girls like the bad boys. Okay? Are you ready for this knowledge? I'm going to
Spit some
spit
wisdom.
some wisdom to you. So, here's the thing. When a guy is this nice, sweet guy, first of all, in your story, I'm just going to kind of pull things from your story, okay? So, in your story, you were being this sweet boy that was always there for this girl, right? You guys knew each other for quite a long time. You spent a lot of time together. But early on in your relationship, you were put in the friend zone.
Oh, I was for friends on like instantly.
Instantly, right?
Instantly.
And things that had to do with that were probably that you were not in the best shape because she was on a different level fitness-wise, yeah?
I wouldn't say fitness because she wasn't into fitness, but she was
Well,
young
she
and
was-
she was young and she was
she was-
smoking hot and she had a hot
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah.
not necessarily on purpose. That was just a natural gift.
Whether it was natural or not.
I wouldn't say it was fitness.
Would she look at you and think the same thing?
No.
Okay. There we go.
She had a hot bod because she was young and she was like tight and all that, but it was not necessarily because she put in any work. Which, when you say fitness, that's what I would.
Sorry. She was looking good.
She looked very good.
Okay.
Very good.
But in her eyes, on the other side of things, you were not on that equal level playing ground, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not even close.
So you have that going against you because there are levels, and whether you want to agree with this or not, there are levels of what you can actually cross over to, right?
True. But I would say this, though. I saw a couple of dudes that she dated, and they also were not, like, fit either.
I'll tell you why.
But they were...
Are you ready?
But they were... Let's see...
Were they bad boys?
Let's see if I can say this in a way that's not going to offend, like, a good portion of the population. They were the type that drove certain types of cars. They might have embroidered their own names on the freaking seats.
So they had money?
No.
No?
No. They might have came from the east side of town, and where I came from, the east side was not the good side.
So they were from a better...
They might have been doing stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
They were like fucking gangbangers, right? Well, they were bad boys, and I'm trying not to imply that there's like a race that goes on, because I know that all sorts of people will say something like that. But they were freaking gangbangers, right? Here's this cute little white girl dating these freaking gangbangers from the wrong side of town. So it wasn't because of their bodies.
No.
It wasn't because of my body. It was because they were like the bad boys, right? So I'm just dispelling the...
Yeah. No. I'm just setting up like what plays into this decision, right?
I just need to stop being as politically correct as I tried to just be, because it was just a mess.
Okay.
You guys all know exactly what I meant.
Okay, but getting back to the point of what we're talking about. Okay. So you had some things going against you in the beginning,
You
right?
thought wealthy people are ones that embroider their names on their seats of their cars?
I don't know. I didn't have people who did that in my age, so you come from a different place.
Anyways,
guess what? I grew up in the hood in Utah, so
embroidered on the seats of their Crown Vics and their Impalas, and
and the people who lived in my hood did not do that, so we didn't have the money to do that. So you're a rich hood person.
I didn't have the money to, and neither did they. They just had a job I don't even know if they had a job. Maybe they sold friggin' drugs, as far as... Actually, I would guess they sold drugs.
Oh, it's a good money maker.
Yeah. Anyways, but this goes on to the bad boys thing, right?
Hey, so wait. No.
Proving my point here.
No, you're not even letting me finish that.
Okay, finish.
Okay, so you had those things going against you in the first place. Add that.
Nice guy not selling drugs.
We've talked before, and actually the last one probably.
Came from a good part of town.
We have these things that we can stack up on top of each other.
Family,
right?
where both parents live at home.
Yeah, you were this poor child who had this great situation at home. Like, no girl's gonna look at you.
No girl's gonna be interested in that. Negative.
Okay, let's really break it down to what it's really about, though.
Okay.
And it has to do with one word. This whole entire conversation can be chalked up to one word.
Well, what kids nowadays would call it was I was a simp.
Well, yeah.
That's one word.
That's not the word I'm thinking.
Oh, is it not?
You're thinking of the other side of it.
Oh.
You were a simp.
I was a simp. Well, no, it's true. I know.
Yeah, but
that's my point.
But here's the difference between you and those other boys. You and any other guy that you were feeling like you were not the bad boy in. And here's what it really has to do with. And I tell our kids all the time what this has to do with, because like sometimes, as you're growing up, you get into this mode of like, oh, I'm not going to be good enough. Nobody wants me. I want somebody to like me for who I am, instead of trying to be somebody fake or trying to be somebody different. Well, guess what? We all have to play the game, which kind of makes us a little fake and a little different, right? You don't want to be completely fake. I mean, on our first date, I was completely fake. I lied the whole time. You don't want to go that far because, I think back on that situation and I'm like, why didn't you think I was crazy and run the other direction?
I did think you were crazy, but I was kind of still in love with someone else. I didn't really care at the moment. I was just trying to have some fun.
Yeah. So.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though. The thing that separates you from those people was one word.
What's that?
Are you ready for it? I'm going to blow your mind.
You
and
sure?
Chalk it all up to this one thing.
Because
if you have this one thing, you can be overweight and you can get a girl. You can be...
Confidence.
Whoa! You came up with it all on your own, babe.
Yeah, that was predictable.
Okay, but here's the thing. There's reality in that, right? Because those people...
But you can be a confident, nice guy. You're still not going to get it.
Oh, you will. You will. Why do we see... Okay, let me tell you. All the people that I went to school with, even in high school or college, that were not in the best shape or nice... And they were just a little different than some of the other kids that were struggling in that area.
Yeah.
And the one thing that set them apart was their confidence. You know why?
Why?
Because confidence is something that makes you have different interests. It had you put on to being a different person.
I'm not saying you're wrong about confidence, because surely confidence is a thing. But how many of those confident boys wanted a longer term relationship with you and you did not give it to them? Virtually all of them, because unless you're still seeing one of them on the side, because you ended up marrying me, right? How many guys did you date that were super into you and would have liked to marry you?
But you know why I was super attracted to you?
Because I didn't seem to care.
No.
That is why.
No, you know
what?
what?
It is why.
You're.
This is the subconscious that comes into play.
No, you
this
know
is
what?
Subconscious. You don't even know.
Okay, no, I do. You know why? Because you could be an asshole just an asshole bad guy, and I wouldn't have any interest in you. There are people, okay, I have a lot of friends that are like, they might even look at Brandon because they see things that he does or things that, like, he comes off as this very masculine type. And they're like, oh, well, he fits in the category of being this douchey asshole type of guy, right?
Yeah.
Can you agree with me that some people might think that?
Yeah.
Without knowing you?
Yeah. makes
Does that make them attracted to you? No. But you know what makes the attraction happen? Let me tell you what makes that attraction happen.
We're gonna agree in the end of this, but I want to hear. I want to hear what you have to say.
This is what makes the attraction: the fact that you are confident enough to have your own desires in life, to be your own person, and me to want to desire to and be intrigued about who you are.
So here's the deal, okay? So you want to say confidence is key, and confidence is key. I won't say it's not key, okay? But confidence without some bad boy in you isn't going to get you what you want. You got to be the best of both worlds. And by that, I'm not saying I'm the best, right? There's all sorts of things in life that I lack, right? But you have to be able to do both, because a confident, super nice guy is also not going to be super attractive either. He's still going to get friend zoned and wonder why. Yeah.
Oh, I would like to see an example of this. Give me an example.
Our friend in Texas. I'm not going to name names, but our friend in Texas, one of the most confident dudes I've ever freaking met in my life, and also the nicest freaking dude I've ever met in my life, and has had his heart freaking trampled on.
I wouldn't see him as that confident guy, though.
He's super confident. Are you kidding me? I was friends with him when we were single.
I think there's an outgoing and there's a confident.
Because he had no bad boy in him, he was confident, and then he let his wife beat him down to the ground because he had he couldn't stand up for himself. But the dude is super confident.
Well, I could even say that I think there are confident guys that do let their wives beat them down.
Right, because they need a little bit of bad boy in them so they can freaking stand up for themselves. Yeah. I would, instead of you asking me to prove it, I would ask you to prove your side of it. Who's a super nice guy that's super confident and still like doesn't get walked on? And I don't care if it's relationship or business, it's the same way. You've been in sales, you know, all the men in sales that are successful have bad boy in them, right? They're not going to let somebody walk on them. They're not going to be intimidated.
But you're saying that confidence is a lack of standing up for yourself.
No, you're saying that confidence is key, and I'm saying you need to have both. You can't be a super confident, just pure nice guy with no bad boy in you and still expect to get long-term results with relationships. Well, we're talking about relationships. But I also would say business also like comes into play too. Because the bad boy side of you is the side of you that does not allow yourself to be walked on.
What I would say, I see what you're saying, but I think that there's a difference between being a bad boy and standing up for yourself, being a bad boy and being able to like have the confidence to not let people walk all over you. I think when you have confidence, you know how to stand above people and be a leader instead of being walked all over. And that comes through as sometimes a bad guy, and that's my whole point. What I'm saying is I'm not saying that those two things are exactly different.
So what exactly are you saying, though? Are you saying that you don't need to be a bad boy to be attractive?
No, it's part of... So I think this is what I'm saying, okay?
Because here's the thing. Cherie was the one that came up with this, why do girls love bad boys? And now she's trying to say, like, you don't have to be a bad boy.
No.
I feel like this is the female hindbrain. All of a sudden, like, defending him. It's like the death throes of, like, no, we're not like this, actually. We can't be seen like this. It's like the death throes of, like, we've been caught. But she was the one that brought this up. This was her choice.
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that confidence is what plays into that bad boy perspective. Because
the bad boys are the ones that have the confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's all playing together.
Okay. All right.
Because you in that place, you did not have any sort of confidence in yourself, right?
True.
But what happened when you were able to switch and think, I've got to play the game? This is where I think it's colliding, right? Wait, hold on just a second. So when you understand that you have to play the game and you have to have a certain amount of confidence, that's where that bad boy personality comes to play. Those two things mixed together, that's when that happens. And you automatically get perceived as a bad boy because you're playing the game, and two, have confidence that other guys don't have.
You can be the nicest dude on earth, and if you're at least perceived as a bad boy, you are ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be an asshole. I'm not saying you have to necessarily be bad.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Is you don't have to be the bad guy, but
you got to be the best of both.
Those two things together, you do get perceived as a bad boy.
If you're at least perceived as a bad boy, it's just like this. Okay, let's take relationships out of it. Let's take girls out of it. Okay, guys. If you walk into a bar and you're the type of dude that's big and you're strong and you look intimidating, there's a really good chance that nobody's going to mess with you that night, right? You're confident, you're strong, like people, like all the guys like look up and like, oh, that dude looks like a badass, right? That's the same thing that same thing plays into girls' minds too. It's just instead of like guys like respecting you because you're big and strong, girls look at you and they're attracted to you because you're big and strong, or they have that same respect too, right? People just naturally look upon someone like that. However, on the flip side of it, if you walk into a bar and you're this weird little dude, and there's a lot of weird little dudes out there nowadays, and I have eyeballs, I see it, and they walk in. Like I saw this dude in the gym this morning, and he's all like hunched over, and he's skinny. He's like walks. He's like super feminine in the way he walks and stuff like that. Like people don't look at you the same way, right? There's no masculinity there, right? He might be the nicest dude ever. He might be super cool, but no man looks at him and by default respects him, and no girl looks at him and by default is attracted to him.
Okay, you actually just played into my third thing. Okay?
Your third thing. There's a third thing. I didn't know there was a third thing.
There's three things that play into this. Are you ready for them?
What's that?
And I like that you said that because that's where I was gonna go. So number one, confidence.
Okay. What was two?
Number two, playing the game.
Okay.
Number three, masculinity.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are my three things that make up the bad boy persona that makes women attracted to you.
Yeah, I do not disagree with that at all.
See, I told you how I would make it all work out.
There you go.
But honestly, like we live in a world where women think that masculinity is a toxic thing. We constantly are hearing, and this is one of the things I really, really am angered about, because we have all this social media, we have TikTok, we have all these things that are playing in our children's ears, and even so we have a son and we have two daughters, and the thing that makes me so aggravated about it all is the fact that people are telling my son not to be a masculine man. They're telling my son that he is a toxic man if he has masculinity, if he plays into that nature that he's born with, right?
Luckily, he does not buy into that at all.
No, he doesn't. But the fact that it's even being told to our kids is so aggravating. And not only is it being told to our sons, but it's also being told to our daughters. And here's the thing that happens in that.
Daughters who have fathers, by the way, right? So I came in one day and I heard my son and my daughter debating toxic masculinity. And he was saying, oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. There's no such thing. There's good guys and there's a-holes, right? And she's like, no, it's a thing, this and that. And I go, hey, listen. Your dad is probably the epitome of what people think of when they talk about that. Do you think I'm toxic? And she goes, well, no, of course not. I'm like, okay. So think about that, right? Like, here's what a toxically masculine dude is. Toxically masculine dude is actually a guy who lacks masculinity, okay? Masculine men, they protect the ones that they love. Masculine men are confident, like Sheree said, right? Masculine men stand up for what's right. Masculine men are righteous men. The toxically masculine men, i.e. lacking masculinity men, those are the ones that will hurt somebody that are weaker than them, like maybe their wife, maybe their spouse, maybe their girlfriend. Maybe they walk into a school with a gun because they have no other way to defend themselves or to like make their point because they're weak and they're soft, right? We just had an experience with somebody close to us. The dude's like you would think of as the nicest guy ever. And whenever you see him, he's just smiling and he never talks and he just sits back and listens and looks like the nicest dude ever. Well, guess what? He's got a fucking dark secret, right? Behind closed doors when he's around people that are weaker than him. Well, all of a sudden he decides to like be strong, right? Well, that's a weak man. That's not a masculine man. Mm-hmm. A masculine man is a righteous man who will protect and serve. All those out there that talk about toxic masculinity, you have it backwards, because the toxic masculinity are the soft, little, weak men that don't know how to protect and serve. They don't know how to stand up, not only for themselves, but for others around them. That's what a toxically masculine man is. A man who lacks masculinity. Yeah. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox and let you finish.
No, I think that was beautiful, because that's exactly what I was getting at, is why there are some people who come off as being this douchebag of a guy. And it's because they actually lack that masculinity that women want, that they're drawn to, that they're attracted to. And we live in this world where we play and pretend, because of all these feminist viewpoints, that we don't want a masculine man. Well, guess what? If you don't choose to be with a masculine man, then you're going to end up being the masculine part in your relationship. And guess what? You're always going to feel wanting. You're always going to want more because women naturally do want to have a masculine energy within their relationship, and they don't want to have to play both parts.
And women by default will play the masculinity or the masculine if they have to, right?
Yeah.
Guys, if you're not stepping up, she will. And she will resent you for it because that's not what she wants to do. Her nature is not to have to be the masculine. Her nature is not to have to be the head of the household. If you put her in the situation where she has to, she will resent you for it and everything will go to shit.
Yeah, and that's why we are drawn to the bad boy type because one, bad boy type has confidence. Guess what? When you see a man walk in a room, and just like Brandon was saying, and he's like got himself put together, and he has this like look that he is that type of man that all of a sudden, like, you're gonna notice that man walking into the room.
It's super simple, okay? Take it back in the day, caveman times. Me, Tarzan, you, Jane. Okay? Jane walks into the fucking cave, right? Like the cave bar where all the Tarzans and his friends hang out. Jane's looking for a partner. Jane's looking for a man. Is Jane gonna pick the guy that looks like he can't take on the saber-tooth tiger? Or is Jane gonna pick the guy that looks like he can? Pretty freaking simple because literally Jane's life depended on that at that time, right?
And guess what? Even if you are a woman that can take on the saber-tooth, I was going to say silver-tooth.
The silverback gorilla.
The saber-tooth tiger. Like, even if you are a woman who can handle that all on your own, guess what, girls? Guess what, women? It gets exhausting to do it all.
If you're a girl that can take on a saber-tooth, you got a whole nother set of issues because you're not going to have a lot of guys that are in your dating pool that are going to be interested.
But here's the thing, like
they're going to be scared of you.
We all play our parts, and we all have to play the game. Even men are more interested in women who play the game as well. It's not just women who play the game. I mean, it's not just men who play the game to attract women. It's also on the other side of things too. When Brandon and I met, if I was just super needy and I called him all the time and I was being super smothering and I was being more like not playing the game.
I don't think that's accurate.
No, wait. Let me prove to you. Are you ready for this?
You can't prove this one because you're wrong about this.
How did I get you back after you broke up with me?
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
No, it is the same thing. That's exactly how I got you back.
It's not the same thing. If I were super into you, which I would have been had I not been in another relationship
No, he didn't call me back. I called him back.
But that was because I knew I had to play the game.
3 times. Keep going.
I'm just saying, had I not, that part of that was because I was just fresh out of another relationship. But had I been super into you and like you just instantly were super into me back, I would have thought that was rad. Most guys would. Not all guys. 90% of guys would. The 10% of guys that would not were the ones that, like I said, learned the game from when they were young. They just naturally knew the game. But those of us that had to learn the game would just be like, oh, this is awesome, a chick that's not playing games.
Oh, but it's so weird how about like half of the relationships I had been in before you, I had to play the game or else they weren't interested in me. You see how it plays on both sides? You think that like you are just this man that I
don't have any experience with those guys because I don't know them.
Yeah, but
I
this
do know
is what
other
I'm telling
guys.
you,
But I know myself and I know other guys.
From experience, from a woman, I've also been on the side of not having a man want to be with me because I didn't play the game right and I didn't have that enough confidence. Women also have that same type of confidence.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like I dated plenty of men before you that didn't want to be with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
was that because you were overbearing or just because like you just weren't a good match?
I think it was because I didn't have the confidence level that they wanted, honestly, and I wasn't playing the game.
Yeah.
I was always showing up when they wanted me to show up. I was always doing the things, and I was still sort of playing the game, but I wasn't playing it enough on their level.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm saying is there is a game on both sides.
That's what your perception is, but I know lots of dudes, and I know the way men's mind work, and I've had endless amounts of conversations about this.
And you don't think I've done the same? You don't think there's lots of women who have been through that same experience?
I'm just saying that there might be other things that come into play because
Okay, tell me those other
girls
things. Let
girls
me hear 'em. Let me
like
hear 'em. Come on, give them to
girls
me, baby.
want girls need to play the game. They don't. So here's a definition. You hear all these girls say, "Oh, that guy's a creeper," this and that. Well, the definition of a creeper is just simply a guy that you're not interested in you flirting with you, right? If a guy flirts with you that you think is hot, he's not creeping on you. But if a guy that's goofy and you don't want him to flirt with you creeps on, says the exact same things at the exact same time.
So instead of a creeper, the girl is the sweet spirit, the sweet, beautiful spirit.
There are
who's
lots
so
of girls.
sweet,
There are
but
lots of
just
girls.
not at your level.
There are lots of girls that
right?
have been into me that I've just simply not been
Yeah.
attracted to.
I know. That's my point. Do you think those girls who were playing the game were attracted to you? They wouldn't be playing the game so hard if they were super attracted to you. Do you understand? Like, we play the game to a level because there's a certain level of attractiveness.
False. And I'll prove it because you and I have a mutual friend
Okay.
that's needy as hell.
Okay.
He's a good-looking cat, and you know who I'm talking about.
Okay. I think I do.
And he cannot. He has a girlfriend right now, but he can't, up until now, for the life of him, cannot find a girl that wants to go on more than 1 or 2 dates with him
Why?
Because he's super there for her. He's super nice. There's zero bad boy.
He's playing the feminine part of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But he's attractive, though, is my point, right?
Okay, but let me turn the tables. Are you ready?
But you were just trying to make it sound like, oh, they're just a sweet spirit because they're not attractive. No, he's attractive, but because he's so emotional and he's so this and he's that.
But let me flip it.
Can't seem
Are
to
you
find
ready
somebody.
for me to flip it?
Although he seems to have found somebody for now, at
Okay.
least, so it's been
Okay,
good.
but
And I'm
ready for me to flip it?
happy for him.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
What about an overly masculine woman who thinks she's the boss bitch?
Oh, no, out the fucking door.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. It's on both sides. Like,
What
there's
does that
certain
have to do
aspects.
with
Because
it?
women are not as attracted to him because he plays the
Men
more
are
feminine
not.
part.
Men are just simply not attracted to chicks that think they're a boss bitch.
And women just aren't attracted to guys who want to be a feminine guy.
Right. But attractiveness has nothing to do with it, though. You were making the point that, they just weren't attracted or attractive. And I'm saying, no. There are attractive people that are not good at the game that can still get,
Maybe
booted.
I mistakenly used the word attractive when I meant attracted.
All right. Here's the deal. We've talked about this before. If you want to break it down to an attractiveness level, men are way more forgiving than women are. Right? We've already discussed this, and there's statistics to prove it. Remember we talked about how on Tinder men will swipe right 80% of the time, and women swipe right
But there's
4%
something
of the
else
time.
that drives that swipe.
Right.
There's something else that drives that swipe. There's
No,
something...
not on Tinder. It's a picture, right? It's a profile. It's immediately what they see. It has nothing to do with their personality at all, right? It's a picture. Men are way more forgiving than women are. Okay, so let's throw the attractiveness out the door because that's not what we're discussing here at all. We're discussing bad boys and why girls are attracted to them. This is your topic. You came up with this. There's a game on both sides. And what I'm saying is the majority of men would prefer not to play the game at all. The majority of women, by default, whether they want to or not, subconscious or conscious, play the game, have to play the game, will play the game. And if men don't play the game, they freaking lose. That's my point. And that's you think I'm talking bad on women. I'm actually calling out all the dudes out there that don't want to play the game, because there is a big movement. They call themselves incels, right? Involuntary celibates. They've checked out of the game completely because they feel like it's just simply not freaking worth the work, right? Worth the effort. And that's a sad thing because they're not going to have families. They're not going to have this
women
and that.
have also done the same thing, and they call themselves feminists. Yeah.
When I talk about incels and you're talking about feminists, that is not even close to the same thing at all. Modern day feminists are the ones that think they can leave their husbands at home and go to the freaking club with their girls and go dance and grind up on dudes.
No.
They're the ones that are like, free the nipple campaign, and they're like,
no.
Yeah, absolutely. The boss bitches are the ones that are like, no.
There's different categories.
Modern day feminists are the ones that think they can go sleep around and rack up the numbers and the notches in the belts.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Feminists
no, I'm not
don't even want to be in a relationship.
No,
what are you talking about?
You're not following what's going on right now.
What category do those women fit into then? The ones that are all about women's rights and being above men. You think they're out sleeping around with men?
Absolutely.
No way.
Absolutely.
No way. They want nothing to do with men.
Not true at all.
But there's different categories.
Not true in the least bit.
Men just like
modern day feminists are the ones that think that they can go out and just be freaking ran through nonstop.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what I'm talking about incels are the dudes that simply cannot get a girl to go out with him at all, and they figure it's not worth the work, and so they check out of the game completely. Those are two different things at all. Okay. Completely.
If that's the type of guy you're talking about.
No, there are different kinds of feminists, I'm sure. But what I'm talking about is 2023 hardcore feminists are different than what you're assuming they are. And you're assuming they're different because you're different. But the ones out there now, the ones that are all over social, the ones that are making posts, the ones that are doing this and that, they're into some things that you don't realize they are because you don't follow that stuff.
I think that you're thinking on the level of like what douchebag level of men are, right?
No.
Yeah, because douchebag
I've heard them say it.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm talking about guys. Like I'm saying, if we were to find the equivalent of the type of feminist you were talking about, because there's different levels. That's the level of man you're talking about.
When we left the church, we had multiple friends, multiple marriages. They all broke up. They all ended in divorce because women became hardcore feminists. And what did they do? No man controls me. I get to go sleep with whoever I want. And they were going to be open. They were going to be poly. They were going to do this and that. You've seen this with your own eyeballs in our own friend group. They think they can be free. They can do whatever they want. They don't need a man to control them. And they're going to rack up the numbers.
Okay, well, that's a different feminist group than what I thought you were talking about.
Right, but that's the one I'm talking about is the modern day feminists nowadays, right? The ones that you see on social all the time, the ones that you see in the news all the time. I'm not talking about women that are just like strong and they can have a job and they can provide and they can do all the same shit, right? Of course we're equal in some ways, right? Well, I'm talking about the ones that got to set themselves apart, right? And the guys that are considering themselves incels are checking out of the game because that is not worth it for them. They just freaking bounce completely. And porn and sex toys is better for them than having to chase after that. There is a movement. Like, I'm not saying that I don't think that that's real. I'm saying that that's what they think.
I think, though, that in these conversations, like, there needs to be a realization, okay? Do you know how, like, we talk about how in our relationship, how usually when we're arguing about something or we're feeling a certain way, usually if I'm feeling a certain way, usually you're probably feeling the same way. Yeah? If you're feeling a certain way and you come to me and you say, I'm feeling this way, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling that same way.
Okay.
That happens the majority of the time, right?
Yeah. Okay, sometimes. Okay. I think.
I believe that there is a complement of, is that the right word? There's complementary
Okay.
side to both men and women.
Of course there is.
Okay, so if you're talking about, what is it, incel, or what do you call them?
Yeah. Well, I don't call them that. They call them
Okay,
that.
well, I have no idea.
When I heard the term, I had to look it up to see what. I don't call them that.
I'm kind of hearing this term for the first time.
Right.
So I assumed you meant a certain group, but I was wrong in the certain group you were describing.
Well, they are
But-
a certain group. They're
okay.
they're a group of men. They call themselves
Okay.
incels, and they're involuntary celibate. Means nobody will sleep with them, and so they
Okay.
check themselves out of the game.
Okay, let me ask you a serious question. Do you think there's not a group of women who relate to that group of men? All those women out there who've never been in a relationship, who never felt like they were needed or
I
wanted
think
by a
that
man.
there are very, very few women that could not go downtown tonight and go to a bar and get laid if they chose
It's
to.
not that these men cannot find a woman.
It
it's
is
that
that
they
they
gave
cannot.
up
No,
because they didn't feel wanted.
They gave
by
up
one.
because they could not, right? Now, why could they not, right?
Okay, I would be very interested. Like, I would love to go into this group and
Why-
say, "Hey, when was the last time you tried?"
Oh, log on. You can go on to Reddit. There's all sorts of
Yeah?
pages. In fact, I would invite you to do it and
Yeah?
ask them.
Okay.
And
Might
maybe
do it.
we can have another show about that, right? It's a ginormous movement out there. This might be the first time you're hearing about it, but this is not even remotely new. You could go out in there and ask your 17-year-old son about incels, and he could explain it.
Okay, let me just tell you one thing though. Can I tell you one thing?
Sure.
This kind of thing has been happening to women for many, many years before just this.
That
new
women
revol-
couldn't get laid if they chose
No, that
to?
women felt unwanted by men, so they decided not to have any type of relationship. How many women? I could name 5 right now that I know personally that fit that category.
But those are ones that were married or in relationships and
No,
they
they
chose
were
not
ones
to.
that never ever got married.
I kind of probably know who you're thinking about, and they're people that have different social anxiety issues and stuff like that.
And you don't
I'm
think
talking-
that these men have those same
No!
anxieties?
I'm talking about this. When men will swipe right 80% of the time and women only swipe right 4.5% of the time, that is a dramatic difference. Women find the majority of men as
take out the
unattractive.
fact that men have a stronger sex drive than women, so they will swipe right more than women swipe right.
Right, but what I'm saying though
But that
is
does play
if
into
women
the
only
statistics.
swipe right 4.5% of the time, that means 4.5% of men are having all the sex, and
Yeah.
the majority of men are not. And now, not only are they not, but they're not at all. Right. So there is a giant number. Look up the statistics, and we'll have another show on this. There is such a huge number of people, mostly men these days, that are not sexually active into their freaking 30s, right? That did not ever happen before until the rise of feminism, right? This is a new thing. This is within the last decade, right? Huge number of men have zero luck, so they're checking out of it. The United States birth rate is in decline, like to the point that like it's scary, right? We can't replace us, right? And it's because our social, the way we are, like what's the word I'm looking for? Our social dynamics are all freaking jacked up, right? A man has to work 10 times as hard right now to find a girl that is 5 times worse than what your grandpa had to do to find a girl, right? Like our grandparents could just go out, they could date, they could go to like restaurants or bars, they were in the Navy, they did this and that, and they seem to all find mates, right?
No, you know
But
what?
nowadays,
you know what I
the
do believe?
majority of men do not find mates. And if you want to find a mate, then again, I'm not necessarily just bashing on women. I'm
Just a little bit. Just a
I'm
little
bashing
bit.
on the men out there too, because they're simping, they're weak, they're too quick to just check out of the game. And if you don't want to like check out of the game, if you do want to find that, well, you got to step up and you got to do the things. You got to find the job. You got to look good. You got to build some muscle. You got to dress nice, right? This is a thing, right? But we live in this weird ass world where the majority of people in the country are obese. That means attractiveness goes down the freaking tube right away. More women are going to college than men are. That means they're the ones that are going to wear the pants. They're the ones that are going to step up. They're going to be the boss bitches. And they're not going to want you. The world is backwards right now. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. Well, the world is wrong right now.
But I am saying that it's going in a really fucking bad direction. Men are becoming less masculine, women are becoming more masculine, and that is not a good mix, and that's never going to work out ever.
I will agree with that. But there are certain parts of that that I don't exactly agree with.
Like what?
Well, just the fact that like you have it, okay, you're talking about a percentage that's on Tinder, right?
Which most of the people nowadays that date are on Tinder.
Not most of the people. There's a
Most of them.
percentage of people.
The majority
I can
of-
name single people right now
majority
that
of
have never
single-
even used Tinder.
The majority of single people
But
are
what I'm
on
saying
Tinder
is,
nowadays.
okay, because of a man's sex drive, they're going to swipe right more often than women. And because women are living in the world where they want quality over quantity, where men want to get laid. Women don't go on these sites just to get laid. And there are a percentage of women who do go on those sites to get laid. But more guys go on those sites to get laid than they do other reasons, right? So women automatically have that thought
You
process.
think that, but that's not the case. So the type of guys that
Can I
I'm talking about, the simps, the ones that are just the nice guys, they're not just looking to get laid. They're looking for love.
And there is that percentage, and those are the people that we want to like talk to, right?
Actually, the ones that the girls are swiping right 4.5% of the time, I would say that that 4.5% of men are the ones that are on there to get laid. The rest of them, for the most
Exactly.
part, are looking for love.
You know
and the
why?
girls are swiping right on the ones that just want to get laid. And then they're wondering, where are all the nice guys at? Well, you freaking swiped left on them.
Because they're swiping on them, right? They're swiping right or whatever direction it is, and then they start having a conversation with that guy. So, and then that guy ends up being a big douchebag because they are swiping
No,
right on
he's
that.
not.
No, the top percentage is what we're talking about, right? The ones that come off as being kind
Okay,
of
well,
that
first of all, you've
arrogance.
never been on Tinder. You haven't read the stats, so you don't
No.
you don't know.
What I'm
Those are
going-
the guys getting all the action. The 90-something% of guys that are being swiped left on are the guys with no action. They have to swipe right 200 times before they get one interaction. I just read this. Most guys have to swipe right 200 times before someone responds. Because they're not that 4.5%. The douchebags that you're talking about are that 4.5%.
That's what I'm saying.
And they are the ones
You
that
just
are.
literally said what I
They are
just
the
said.
ones hooking up in hotel rooms
Yes.
with married women that are on Tinder and stuff like that, right? They're the ones.
Why are they automatically married
I have a
women?
family member who, when she became single, she was on Tinder and she started to date this guy, and she's like, I think he's married. I'm like, he probably is, right? Because you're swiping right on the guys that are the douchebags, that are the guys that learned the game when they were young. This is what I'm talking about. What I'm saying, though, is the 96% of guys that are probably actually genuinely nice guys, but may not be attractive to you, those are the guys that don't have any action. Now, it's their fault that they're not attractive. A lot of them, right? I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying this is the way it is. Girls are way pickier than men are, and you're agreeing that men will swipe right because they just want to get laid. But what I'm saying is this: 96% of men are swiping right, and they're genuinely attracted to what they're seeing. But girls only swipe right to the things they're generally attracted to, genuinely attracted to, which is 4.5% instead of 80%. I mean, these are numbers that don't lie. Like, this is a real thing.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So, but what I'm saying is those 96% of men are the nice guys out there who are never going to win. Why? Because girls like bad boys, which is the 4.5% that get swiped right on all the time.
Yes.
Right.
And then they end up being what I was saying.
Right.
Is
And then
the
the
douchebags.
and then the girls ask, where are all the nice guys at? And then 96% of them are like, I'm over here. But the girls don't want them.
And this is the whole point.
This is the point of this whole thing.
There's a gap, right? Let's agree that there's a gap. right?
But if those guys could learn to have a little bit more bad boy in them.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is what we're trying to
fill
talk
the
about
gap,
here.
right?
This is
You got to take that 4% and the 96% and say what's missing there, right?
It's
that level of
I will
quality.
tell you what's missing.
Okay.
To the 96% out there. I'll tell you, there are certain things in your life that you cannot control. You cannot control the face that the good God gave you, okay? You cannot control your height. You cannot control your skin tone, right? But if you're going to be ugly, be ugly with muscles. If you're going to be short with muscles. If you're going to be pasty white, be pasty white with muscles.
Well, that's too hard.
The dress is nice.
I don't want to have to do that, Brandon.
That wears...
I want people to love me for who I am.
Oh, shut up.
That's what I want.
Shut up. I'm talking to my boys, okay? And here's my point, right? There are things you cannot control, but there are things you can control, okay? I stutter. I did when I was young. It was super bad. I thought, I cannot control my speech. I'm shy. I'm afraid to talk to women, but I want to date, right? So what can I control? I can control what I put inside my mouth, food-wise, right? So, and I can control on how I move my body, right? Exercise, right? So here's the thing. Take the things you can't control, your height, your skin tone, your the way your face is just arranged, right? You know, but work out, be strong, dress nice, drive a nice car, do the things, right? Like these are things that they're attractiveness cues. Women will be attracted to those things. If you check out of this whole thing and just become an incel, well, guess what? You're just gonna fucking lose, right? Your life's gonna lose. You're gonna lose. You're not gonna have any kids. You're not gonna have a family. You're gonna be miserable forever, okay? So you can do the hard things. You can go to the gym. You can work out. You can go get some cool clothes that look snazzy, right? Buy a car that looks snazzy. You don't gotta go spend 60 grand, 80 grand, 90 grand on a car. You can find a used car that somebody took really good care of and it still looks sexy, right? Do the things you need to do to get into a job that's going to like provide, right? But step up and do the things. Don't sit in your freaking basement and play games with your friends, okay? Married guys, when you get married, don't sell the freaking motorcycle. Don't sell the sports car. Don't give up your cool. We've discussed this before, right? There's all sorts of things you can do to remain cool or become cool. To remain attractive or become attractive. I've been beaten up on women half this show right here, but ultimately it actually comes down to the guys, right? If women aren't attracted to you, well, there's a freaking reason, and most of the time you can fix it. Instead of just checking out of the game because it's too much work, well, just freaking man up, grab your balls, do some work, for hell's sake. You can't expect them to just be attracted to you when you're 90 pounds overweight and you're playing games with your friends in your basement when you're 35. That's not attractive. It's just not, okay? So just because I've been beaten up on feminists, which I do often, I'm also beaten up on men that don't want to freaking try. Because guess what? Again, there's a game. You may not like it, but it's there. And if you don't play the freaking game, you lose the game. You get a big L. That's how it goes. I don't know what else I have to say about that. Is there more?
I was thinking about something when you were talking about it, but now I
lost.
might have forgot it.
You're done?
Well, here's the thing. In a relationship, there is still the game. And why you have to still keep playing the game is because, honestly, the thing that I would add on to what Brandon is saying is keep your interest so you can keep being interesting. Part of that confidence level that we were talking about earlier in our conversation has to do with being interesting, because people all of a sudden have this confidence because they have some story to tell about themselves. They have something to give to other people, because people receive people more when they're giving, right? Like if you're constantly talking and talking and talking, people will get bored of that. But if you have a desire to feed other people with your stories instead of just talking about yourself, find an interest that intrigues other people, then you become interesting. And you have to stay interesting throughout your relationship. Like the fact that Brandon has been in this motorcycle club. Like that could be, in marriages, that could be very hard. That could be something that you resent about your partner, or it could be something that you can love about your partner and love that they have an interest and they're still interesting to this day. And it's kind of a beautiful thing when you get to be there for your partner. But the game still is being played, and you have to keep playing the game. Because here's the thing that makes that your relationship amazing, you can level up to the next level in your relationship and not be a married, boring couple, is understanding that I want to keep things interesting for him and he wants to keep things interesting for me. Like when we go on dates or we go on vacation or we go do you want to go on a vacation and like regret or dread going on vacation with your partner? Do you want to have anxiety and not have a good time on your vacation? Or do you want to be excited about being with the person that you're with? And if you just stop playing that game, then you slowly work your way apart from each other. That game still has to be played because you still have to win the affection of the person you love over and over again. It doesn't matter. That's what romance is. And a lot of times in relationships, you sit and you wait and you're like, I'm waiting for them to do this thing for me. I'm just waiting for them to be this interested in me. I'm just waiting for them to show up for me. Well, how about you give that? You show up for them that way. You do these things. Then all of a sudden, they want to give that back to you. And when you have a partner who wants to work towards making that happen for you as well, and it's kind of a sweet place, and that's kind of how you level up and are different than everybody out there. And that's what it really comes down to. As women, we're attracted to bad boys because there is a confidence level. And I'm sorry, but confidence is attractive. No matter what age you're at, is attractive, even for men and for women. Like when I remember, even like I can see it in women. Like even when I'm around certain friends of mine that are women, like when they have a confidence about them, like not that I'm like, oh, I sexually desire them, but I'm like attracted to their personality, right? So that's just another thing that has nothing to do even with your looks. You can have a confidence level, but then what if you stack that on top of like taking care of your body, taking care of your mental health, like taking care of all these other things about you? Like taking care of yourself is very important for your partner as well. And I do hate in this day and age where we say, oh, you shouldn't want to have to do this for the other person. Of course you don't want to do everything in your life just for the other person. But when you know that you're number one and you're like gonna better yourself, because by you bettering yourself, it makes you better for your partner. All of a sudden, like it's this beautiful thing that you guys can have together where you're growing in the same direction. But I think that like in the situations that what Brandon's talking about, sometimes we just give up a little too soon. We give up and don't want to try anymore because we've been in situations where it was hard and maybe someone put us down or we didn't get too far in a relationship, or you're just tired of the game. But you gotta kind of make the game fun and you gotta make it continue, because I think that's some of what makes our relationship a little bit more fun, is when we can be there for each other. You got a look on your face.
I think I'm going to call bullshit on one thing you said, and this is a very again feminist way of thinking. I'm not saying you're a feminist, but I'm not gonna do this for no man. I'm not gonna do this for as men or women. If you're in a relationship, you fucking do everything for the other person.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That's my whole point, what I was saying.
You think men go down in the freaking coal mine and work in the dark and get the It's the black lung, Pop. Right? You'd think they get the black lung just because they want to. No, they do that to support their wife and kids, right? Like everything we do, everything we both do should be for the other person / other people in our lives, right? For the most part. Yeah, we have interests that are our own, but still, I mean, it's like I sent Sheree this short from, I forget her name right now, but this girl I've been listening to on Instagram, or on YouTube. But it's like women all the time are like, oh, I'm not gonna do the dishes for him. I'm not gonna cook for him. I'm not gonna clean for him. She's like, what? You want a messy house? That's gross, right? Like it's not just for him. It's for both of you, right? Like we're in this thing together. We're a team. Like all these things we do for each other, right? For the most part, right? When I go out and I go on a ride, it's not necessarily for her. Unless she goes with me, then that's all awesome too. When she goes to her book club thing she does, that's not for me at all. That's for her, right? We have our own interests, right? But sometimes our own interests do like kind of intertwine. When I go to the gym every day, sure, that's for me, but it's also for her too. When she goes to the gym, sure, that's for her, but it's also for me. When I cook for the kids or for us, yeah, I'm gonna eat it too, but it's for all of us, right? Like we serve, like in a family, in a relationship, we serve. So like this mindset that this is not a man's mindset, and I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on feminists again because this is a feminist mindset. But this feminist mindset that like, oh, I'm not going to do this for him. I'm my own person. I'm not going to do this for no man. That is a very feminist mindset to have, right? And it's wrong. If you're in a partnership, if you're in a relationship, if you're in a family, we're a friggin' team. It's 50-50. Or if the math makes sense, it's 50-50-50-50-50, depending on how many people you have in your family, right? This thing that we're like just all of a sudden becoming super selfish nowadays is bizarre and off the wall. I can't understand it. And I don't understand how people expect relationships to like work long term like that because they won't.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And if you rewind the tape and listen to me, I said I don't agree with this in the way that people think.
No. I know. I guess I wasn't.
I started by saying that I don't believe in that.
I wasn't calling bullshit necessarily on what I thought you believed, but just the fact that lots of people believe in that.
No, that's what I'm saying
right?
is I don't agree with
Yeah.
that way of thinking
Yeah.
because 100%. Like, the more you give to your relationship, the better you'll get from your relationship. If you think that you can give to yourself and not give to your relationship and still have a good relationship, you are very wrong in that. Because I do everything in my life because I want to have a better relationship with my husband, with my kids, with the people that I love. My whole world is surrounded by that. And if I had the type of thinking to where it was all for me, then I would lose everything I love in my life. And that's kind of what I was saying, is just that I don't believe in that way of thinking because it does distract from what you really want in life.
Yeah.
And I think this world has come to a point where we're very confused about the things that we really want because we're being told so many different things from so many different areas. But if we really truly listen to our hearts, at the end of the day, what do we all want? We all want to be loved. We want to be loved by a partner. We want to be loved by our kids. We want to be loved by our parents. We want to be loved by all the people that matter most to us. And when we don't feel that love reciprocated, that's when we most feel the angst in our lives and we're unhappy in our lives. But we strive for that love. So if you're not working towards making that love a greater love, then you're making the choice to work away from that love. Anything that you do in your life is an action towards something. And if you're not making a decision towards making your relationships better, then you're actively making the choice to make it worse. And I think that's something that people don't realize. They always constantly want somebody to take action to give them those things, but they're not willing to give that before they get it. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions in this life, is that you have to give before you can receive and not expect to receive. And that's when you get the most fulfillment in your relationship and in everything, I think. So
I like it. I think we should end this thing.
yeah, we got a little crazy. We were about ready to fight. We seriously need to get our boxing gloves and just lay them on the table every time.
I'm just going to give you spankings upstairs, that's all.
Well, you know.
Bend you
know what
over
they
my
say.
knee.
Wow.
Teach you a thing or three.
Well, end it with a bang, baby.
Peace out. End it with a bang. All right.
ya.
Peace out. Love you guys.